So we are filming. We're live. I think maybe the way we should start out is just for people that don't know you, say your name and where you learned to play backgammon. Where and when.
Right. Okay, my name is Marty Storer. I've been playing backgammon since 1975. I learned in the college dorms when the backgammon craze swept the nation. That was a mid-70s kind of time frame. I was motivated to learn. I saw there was one young lady in our group who acted like a strong chess player. She moved very quickly and confidently, and she saw what the possibilities were very quickly, and I thought, no wonder she's winning all the time. There must be backgammon books. I decided I would find some, so there was a specialty shop called the Gammon Shop, White Plains, New York. I went there with a friend of mine who had just beaten me in backgammon over a whole night. And the proprietor said, "This is the best book written on the game." It was Jacoby and Crawford's The Backgammon Book. And John Crawford was a legacy inductee into the Hall of Fame this weekend. And I'm still on the planet, so I was the non-legacy inductee. Anyway, yeah, so that was it. I learned, I read books, and I really just loved backgammon. So I just started to play all the time, and I decided I didn't need to go to college anymore and go and try to play for money, and I did for a few years, about 6 years or so. I said, if I lose this, one time I said if I was in the box in a shoeette, I said if I lose this game, I won't be able to pay my rent. I said, well, the solution is to win the game. So I won the game and survived for a bit. And I fell on hard times when I was stiffed on some big debts from backgammon. And then I decided, well, I live in New York State, I could get the tuition was cheap to non-existent. And I could get a computer science degree, and then I could have the option to quit work and play backgammon. I could amass a bankroll, and, if I lose it, then I can get a job again or something like that. But I met my wife-to-be in the computer science program, State University of New York at Buffalo, where I was living at the time. So we both got computer science degrees, and we got married and started having kids. And unfortunately, I had to get a real job developing software. So I did that for about 30 years, and then I retired and got to play more backgammon.
And so a little more on last night. So Marty, as a newly minted Hall of Fame inductee, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
And second of all, for any new players out there looking for advice on where to turn their head in order to focus on things that might help them get better, what advice would you give to new players?
Well, first of all, you have to play a lot. And that will familiarize you with all the different kinds of positions that can occur, and also the monstrous swings of luck that are possible. You think you've got the game locked up, but you really don't. There's one little roll, could just do it. Double sixes. Your opponent wins the barrel and wins the match. And it is very important, if you want to win at backgammon, not to let all that get to you and just accept it as a matter of course, realizing that you will be on the right side, the winning side of those lucky dice streaks your fair share of the time. And it can only hurt you to get upset over things you can't control. Just try to keep yourself in good physical shape. I know. I'm not Mr. America, whatever, but my diet isn't too crummy, and just try to keep a relaxed state of mind and realize that yes, there's good luck and bad luck, and you can't do anything about it. Some of the worst steaming creatures in money play that I've seen have come from pure skill games like chess. They can't believe this, all this luck. Like, I'm winning this game. Why can't I just win? Well, it fluctuates according to the dice rolls, right? In chess, it doesn't fluctuate at all. If you make a mistake, you're going to lose, and if you don't, you might win, whatever, depending on who you're playing and all that stuff. So, some of the most successful players are the ones who let all the vagaries of the dice just roll off their back and say, shrug, I'll get it back. I'll get it back when it's my turn.
So don't waste any energy.
No, and study positions. Get all the best sources. The most valuable backgammon book, I firmly believe, is the one that I wrote. No, just kidding. It's called Backgammon Boot Camp by Walter Trice, and it came out in 2004. And it goes through all kinds of aspects of the game, and it's not some kind of condescending presentation where, oh, you little intermediates and little novices must, bow down to me and my great wisdom. Walter was a real salt of the earth. He was a real human being, and he didn't treat his fellow human being like that at all. But he didn't bullshit either. Sorry, he didn't. He told the truth about what he thought about backgammon. Like, I remember one time some guy asked to play him money games, and he said sure. And the fellow lost, and he said, you really should feel guilty about winning that much money from a player like me, and I don't even know why you even ascended to play against me. I said, well, you asked, and Walter said, what the hell? Why not give it a try, So, and there are many other resources besides books. There are private lessons you can get. Lots of people will give you those. You can. There used to be a thing run by the U.S. Backgammon Federation. If you won a certain kind of event, like an online tournament, you could pick a pro, and you could get a lesson from a professional player, whatever, people they called pros, and it would be free. But then you could decide whether you wanted to pay for more lessons. And there are just lots of matches to watch online. But like, there's this organization called the Backgammon Masters Awarding Body, and they rank players based on what the computer says. Extreme Gammon, the best computer program, will evaluate your play and give you a number called a performance rating based on the average amount of equity or mistakes lost you per decision, right? So if you play in a tournament where the results go to the Backgammon Masters Awarding Body, you can get a ranking. You can see how the computer thinks you play, and you can also get all of the match files, the Extreme Gammon match files of games you played, of matches you played, and so you can learn from that by looking and see what the robot says are your big mistakes, and you can try to figure out why. You can go and ask friendly people why they think, and there's just a lot of resources out there, and the U.S. Backgammon Federation is a great place to find those.
I totally agree with you on USBGF being a great resource. But touch back on final question, I guess, is the future of backgammon. Do you think there's anything more we can learn as XG becomes or moves into its new iteration that we have yet to see?
Yeah. So the gentleman who founded Uber, the ride-sharing company, he has bought the rights to Extreme Gammon from Xavier Dufour de Citre, who wrote the doggone thing. Fine software guy. I know I'm a software creature myself, so I can tell quality when I see it. And the Uber guy, I forget what his name is. I'm sort of My bad, but
Travis.
Travis, yes, Travis. Okay. So he wants to improve. He's taking over Extreme Gammon. He bought it from Xavier, and it's going to be improved. And he wants to hire lots of people to help him do that. And I know a bunch of people who are hot to trot and work on it. And I think they will succeed. I think that Extreme Gammon will be improved. Might cost a little more than it has hitherto cost. There was no subscription model of ownership of Extreme Gammon. You just pay once and you own the thing.
Do you have any guesses as to what might improve? Or what's really good so far?
I think I don't know what's good so far, but I know that there was a beta version of Extreme Gammon called Extreme Gammon 3, and there was the beta version of the next release, which never got officially released, but the beta version is still, there's some privileged people out there who have a copy. I'm not one of them. But I saw some analysis from Extreme Gammon 3, and it seems to understand back games better, priming better, containment of fleeing checkers better. And I think that in all of those respects, Extreme Gammon will improve under the new ownership. And I don't think it'll be a big surprise. You'll just say, okay, it'll be a matter of small degrees. You'll say, okay, well, I thought this was a more valuable position than it actually is. And apparently these are the reasons. And they're also talking about making Extreme Gammon into a better teaching tool. I would say, for example, all right, I'd like to ask it, like, okay, let's say hitting a shot is really important. How often do I hit a shot from this position? Like, can you have a window into the rollouts that are being done, and just whenever the event, as you define it, and some formalism happens, it makes a check mark. And then it can say, all right, these were the number of rolls there were, and this is how often that event happened, escaping a prime or hitting a blot or whatever it might be. I think they can do that. And if you want to just look ahead, you might say, all right, why is this move better than the other one? And you could get a window into the upcoming rolls. Now, Extreme Gammon already gives you that, but it's not a question and answer kind of thing. It's not you can look at what the rolls, how the thing wants to play the upcoming rolls and what it says the value is. But there's a limit to the look ahead you can do. You can only get 4-ply look ahead maximum, which is pretty good, but you could make it even deeper and ask it what it thinks. You could say Extreme Gammon Roller plus plus, which is a mini rollout. You could ask it for mini rollouts, looking ahead a few turns.
For people that are not familiar, what is a plus plus?
Plus plus. Okay, so when it evaluates, when Extreme Gammon wants to know how much a position is worth, it says, all right, I've got what is called a static evaluation function, which takes in a position and gives it a value. And that knowledge has been built up through training. And the way it works is called a neural network. So if you look ahead 4-ply, let's say you've just got a static evaluation function, and no matter how generated, and it works pretty well, and you can just look ahead and say, okay, I think the best play with this roll is such and such. But then you might say, well, I want to look ahead and see what the evaluations of future positions are. And you vary the frequency of the dice rolls with their probability so that you get the right frequency, and then you measure what the equities are. Then you say, all right, well, I've got all these future positions. I could just integrate those values, multiplied by the probability of outcome, 1 out of 18 for a non-double, 1 out of 36 for a double, and you can add up those each term is a probability times a value. And you add those all up, and that's the value of your whole position. And if you look ahead of a bunch of rolls, you can get a better idea than if you just look ahead 0 rolls. You just use your static evaluation function. So what what XGR++ is it's not a look ahead in the conventional sense. It's a rollout. It's called a mini rollout, and it stops once it has done a bunch of trials and gotten to what it thinks is a statistically significant, repeatable result. So there are 3 levels of mini rollout. One is called XGR, Extreme Gammon Roller. One is called XGR Plus, Extreme Gammon Roller Plus, which is more extensive. And the third one is even more extensive. It's called Extreme Gammon Roller Plus Plus, or XGR Plus Plus, or just Plus Plus. We say, hey, could you plus that position for me? If you've got Extreme Gammon open and you look at a 4-ply result, I want to see that on Plus Plus. And you say, oh, you just select XGR Plus Plus and click the button, and it generates a number for you. So, and you can also do rollouts, where each step of the rollout does evaluations based on a mini rollout. And I do that, but I only use XGR Plus because otherwise it'll take months, literally months, on my computer to get my answer. I can wait days, but I don't want to wait weeks or months. So it's really cool. Extreme Gammon, it's still probably a very good bargain. If you're a member of the U.S. Backgammon Federation, which everyone should be, then you get a discount. I think 3 licenses made for $50 or something like that. You can have to run it on 3 separate computers with the same license. So there's a lot of, and when you come to a tournament, it's just a good social experience. It's a lot of fun. And there's commentary. They still playing the finals over there?
I think so.
Are they done? I'm not noticing there. Yeah, so Richard Munitz was playing in the grand final of the LA Open against Steve Sachs.
Anything else we need to know about you?
About me? Well, I'm.
Before you take off, is there?
My phone number is. No, just kidding.
Is there anything else we should know about you, Marty? Like, you're a prolific writer. You do a lot of writing for Primetime Magazine.
Yeah, I write. I'm the executive editor of Primetime Backgammon Magazine, the magazine of the U.S. Backgammon Federation. It comes out in print and electronically. And I write a lot of articles, and I also edit pretty much everything. But I have a lot of help with that for deciding on content and processing ads and helping the production editor who generates all the beautiful electronic and print copy.
And being a bit of a wordsmith, sometimes you have a poem in the pocket. I'm not sure if that's the case today, but anything come to mind at the conclusion here of the California State Backgammon Championship?
Let's see. Let me see. Distinctly, I remember it was in the bleak December. No, that's the Cal State. That's in December. June Croon Spoon. Okay, here's a short poem by A.R. Ammons. And it's so short I can remember it. Summer's comings, summer's going. Only leaving brings returning. Things rise, stand, drown. Winter shows summer's sticks, and no summer comes again when summer comes. It's called Circling Splinters.
Marty, thanks so much.
Yeah. All right.
You're the best.
Thanks.
You're the best. Thanks
again.
Matt.
Yep. My pleasure.
Have a good one.